So, a few weeks ago, I went to the Giant Robots exhibition, which was held in Ikebukuro, Sunshine City. And with a subtitle like The Core of Japanese Mecha Anime, and a poster featuring heavy hitters like Mazinger Z, Macross, and Gundam, I was expecting this to be quite the exhibition. And on top of that, the price was, relatively speaking, also not that cheap. At 2,200 yen, it was probably one of the, if not the most expensive exhibitions slash museum thingies that I went to. So to put that price into perspective, the regular exhibitions at the National Museum of Tokyo will set you back 1,000 yen. If you then want to visit some of the special exhibitions, that might go up to 2,000 yen. And the old Gundam factory Yokohama, with the life-sized moving Gundam, set you back only 1,500 yen. And that came with a free Gunpla. So again, we are setting expectations here. Based on the title, and probably also the thumbnail for this video, which at this point I do still have to make, you've probably realized that it didn't quite live up to those expectations. But at the same time, I also don't want to say that it sucked. It just could have been so much better, especially for the foreign visitors. It all began when I tried entering the exhibition. I expected that I could just walk up to the counter, buy a ticket, and get in. And apparently, for a Japanese person with the available payment options, that would have been the case. But not for foreign visitors. The only payment option I had was to go through a third-party website that required me to sign up, which was still all in Japanese, by the way, and it required me to sign up with a Japanese address and a Japanese phone number. Now, with modern technology, this wasn't anything insurmountable. We have Google Translate, and for the address and the phone number, I mean, you could just put in the details of your hotel. It's just an annoying extra step that didn't have to be there, and I can imagine that this would turn someone away who's just kind of like, oh, I'm here, I kind of want to do this, but now you're making me jump through all of these hoops. I do want to add though, the staff was super friendly, so while I was annoyed at the process that I had to go through, I was still in good spirits thanks to the staff as I entered. So they gave me my sticker with a big smile, and away I went. And even as I was going through the exhibition, I was still very happy. There were a lot of really cool things to see. It tells the story of how giant robots in Japan started with Tetsujin 28 as a robot that was remote controlled, and how it then changed throughout the years. In the 70s, we had the first boom with super robot series like Mazinger Z, which was then also actually piloted instead of remote controlled. In the 80s, we had the rise of real robots powered by, of course, Gundam. In the 90s, we saw a resurgence of super robots due to the overabundance of real robots in the 80s. And then the exhibition was over. So the focus of the exhibition really is the 80s and earlier. And even though there is some stuff from the 90s, there was definitely a big omission in my opinion. Nowhere did I see any mention of Evangelion, and if we're talking about the history of Mecha and we go up to the 90s, then I feel that is a pretty big thing not to include, although based on the series that are heavily represented in the exhibition, I wonder if maybe there was some kind of licensing thing included. But for the series that were represented, again, there were a lot of cool things to see. There was a lot of information about them, including behind-the-scenes stuff, although most of it was in Japanese. There were production sketches, there was some brand new artwork, they had this really cool display with animation cells from the original Gundam, and probably the coolest thing, they had life-sized cardboard cutouts of some of the mechs to really give you a feeling of how big these things are, like in real life. It's not quite as impressive as a statue, but it was still really cool to see. For the Gundam though, they of course had to take a slightly different approach because there's no way they were going to get a cardboard cutout in life-sized of the thing into the exhibition. So instead, they had a life-size printout that was glued to the ground, and at the Ikebukuro exhibition, you could even go on some stairs to get a better view of the thing. However, this picture also perfectly illustrates the lingering feeling that I had in the back of my mind. The beginning was nicely filled, but then after that, it began feeling a bit empty. Like, an effort was definitely made to dress up the venue, but on certain parts it felt kinda like a student working on a project aiming for the minimum passing grade. Compare this to the displays that I've seen in other exhibitions, cafes, stores, or even one-day events like Wonder Festival and Comic-Con, and you can definitely see what I mean here. The other showcases are so much more filled, and you can really feel the love and the passion behind them. One thing then that I do want to add here is that this might have been specific to the Ikebukuro exhibition. Because when I looked up some of the pictures of this same exhibition in the previous locations, in particular the Fukuoka location, it looked a lot cozier and a lot more filled. So I think part of the problem might be that the Ikebukuro exhibition space was simply too big for the stuff that they had for this exhibition, leading it to it feeling more empty. Also, the images of the life-sized weapons of the RX-78-2 that were present in the Fukuoka exhibition were no longer in the Ikebukuro exhibition, so they downgraded it. And this feeling of emptiness then also wasn't helped by the lack of people. I didn't have to wait for the perfect moment to snap this picture of the Gundam. There was just nobody else there. So by the time that I reached the souvenir store, I just kind of felt neutral happy. I'd learned some interesting new things about the history of Mecha, I'd seen some interesting things, but just nothing that really blew me out of the water, which again was kind of what I was setting myself up for. So in the end, it was all just kinda 6.5, 7 out of 10, depending on how big of a mech fan you are, and also depending on how much the nostalgia factor plays here, because again, the main focus of this exhibition was very clearly the 80s and before that. Which then was definitely enough to make me want to buy some memorabilia. Most of the stuff they had were just like commercially available model kits of the mechs that were in the exhibition, or the usual merchandise like t-shirts, mugs, an art book, keychains, etc. But what really caught my attention was their collection of 1/100 scale acrylic stands of some of the mechs that were included in the exhibition, which I thought was a really cool idea because it allows you to have a display that really shows you the size difference between these different robots. Due to the price of the bigger ones, I wasn't going to do this, but I did pick up the powered suit from Starship Troopers. I also wanted to pick up the Scope Dog, but unfortunately that thing was sold out, and when I went to check the website before filming this video, it seems like it still is sold out, and quite a lot of the other acrylic stands are also sold out. So I hope that when they go to the next venue, all of these will get a restock. Oh, and one thing that I didn't mention yet is that you could also get an audio guide, but unfortunately it was only available in Japanese, which again also didn't kind of help with that feeling of we're just doing the bare minimum that we're required to do. It's not that hard to get your audio guide translated into multiple languages, so I guess they just weren't expecting that many foreign visitors. And having this audio guide also could have been a very good solution for all of those non-translated panels they had. I understand that adding a translation to the panels could have given some problems with like formatting the text and whatnot. You just don't have the space on them, but that's where an audio guide could have come in very handy. So in conclusion, I am very happy that I went, but part of this is because it was in Ikebukuro, which is a fantastic place to visit if you are an anime fan. The anime they've got is simply amazing, and Sunshine City really is a place you should visit when you're coming to Japan. So I was going to spend a day in Ikebukuro anyways. As a big Gundam fan, I was hoping that this giant robots exhibition was going to be the high point of that day, but instead, I had a better time seeing them print a fortune latte of City Hunter, taking pictures of my Shinji burger, participating in a dual encounter tournament, and buying this Stitch plush for a family member. But if you want to check out the exhibition for yourself, it will be held in Nagoya from February the 15th to March the 24th, and after that it will go to Fukushima, although the exact date for that one is not yet known. So that has been all from my impressions of the Giant Robots exhibition. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.